It's tough. He plays that damn Muay Thai music all night.
The hell?
I haven't had a good night's sleep in years.
Shut up! Shut the hell up!
Blames me for his mum leaving us.
Son, what's going on? Mum left us because she saw how shit your switch kick was.
He talks to the posters in his room.
I won't foul you. I'll drop every single Taekwondo person that I see.
Oi! Hey man, what are you doing?
Get the hell out of here!
Weirdo? We can't even go to a restaurant and enjoy ourselves.
I'm gonna get a lasagna. What are you gonna have? Grab me some chicken pad thai. We're at an Italian restaurant. I need the protein. The closest you're gonna get is spaghetti bolognese. Oh, horse shit!
Punk.
Bang, welcome back to the #1 podcast in the world. I'm sure you guys missed us. It's been a red hot minute since we've been here, but the grind doesn't stop, the content doesn't stop because we have to deliver you the best podcasts in the world. I'm joined here today with former yogi and Taekwondo instructor, Chris from Teep Muay Thai. Chris, thank you very much for joining me today, man.
Thank you.
So let's just get straight into it, man. How long have you been doing Taekwondo?
Funny enough, I actually did Taekwondo when I was about 7 years old.
Get out.
Hidden secret.
That is blasphemy. We've got the exclusive, ladies and gentlemen.
I did it when I was 7 for about maybe 6 months. And I still remember the trainer tried to make me say the word ice as I threw a punch and I didn't throw it properly, and then he sidekicked me to the gut and I went flying to the door. So the high level guys can be lethal.
Yeah. What's the prejudice around Taekwondo? Because look, I observe MMA very much as a fan, right? And I commentate on it and I talk to different fighters around it, but there is just this overarching consensus that Taekwondo is the worst martial art and you shouldn't go anywhere near it if you're serious about this.
My opinion is that it comes down to effective striking. So I get this question asked a lot. Muay Thai, MMA, highly effective in terms of striking.
Yeah.
When you think of Taekwondo, where you choose to invest your time in, it's kind of like, why would you invest your time into something that has a much lower rate of effective striking?
Right.
So I think that's where it comes
So
from.
it just looks cool on Instagram clips, but it doesn't actually translate to real life situations.
Real life situations. If you're in a real life situation, someone throws to you a side kick, most of the time it's not going to work well.
Yeah, because it's, especially if you're up against someone that's trained and is, able to anticipate those kinds of things, it's, I think one of the things I really do appreciate about Taekwondo, and I think a lot of the guys that do participate in it will probably attest to, is the fact that things like leg dexterity, things like accuracy, things like, being able to pull off unexpected kicks is something that, is very unique to Taekwondo. I find that Muay Thai tends to be a lot more of the clinical, a lot more of the effective method. It's like, where are we going to get the most amount of juice for our squeeze? And I find that Muay Thai fighters just focus on a small range of techniques that are going to get the most bang for buck, essentially.
Yeah, agreed. So one of the people who train Muay Thai, the ones who do the spinning elbow tend to get a lot of shit for it, for that exact same reason.
Why is that?
Sometimes it cannot be very effective. It just looks cool to do. Mm-hmm. Feels fun to train. But if you're in a fight or a real life situation, you turn your back to someone and you're going to cop it. But you take that same concept and agreed, you apply it to Taekwondo. It's the fact that Taekwondo does build a lot of balance. It does build a lot of coordination. You learn how to turn your hips into your kicks for some of them. It's got good crossover skills into other sports, I would say, specifically into Muay Thai. But Muay Thai, yes, it's all about effective striking, taking out the legs, taking out the head, taking out the side of the body, elbowing to the face. It's just purely what is the most effective thing, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had to use your superpowers in Muay Thai? Because I know you're not a fighter. This is one of the things that's very interesting about you, is that you have a very deep appreciation for the sport and you create a lot of your content around it, but you don't actually fight.
No, I was never interested in fighting.
How come?
For me, it was 2 reasons. I tend to be very health conscious. So when you're health conscious, it's hard to be a fighter because you got to think of brain health, you got to think of joint health, body health. And you can't be thinking of that if you're going to be a fighter. If you're a fighter, the only thing on your mind is I should be winning.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you should be thinking about, in my opinion. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that when I actually got into Muay Thai, I got into it at a very young age. I just purely,
How old were you?
13.
What was the pull towards Muay Thai at 13 years old? Like, how did you stumble into that gym?
Yeah, so this is essentially how most people got into Muay Thai, is that growing up, my dad had us watch a lot of Van Damme movies. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of martial art movies. And on the way to school, where my mum used to drop us off, we used to drive past the kickboxing gym or a Muay Thai gym. It was called, I still remember it, it's called Thunder Legs Muay Thai.
Thunder Legs.
Thunder Legs. And these guys
That's the most Muay Thai name ever. My legs are of lightning.
And these guys had massively shredded legs.
Yeah.
Big. And I was like, I want to be like that. Put me into that gym. And I'd watch enough Van Damme's Kickboxer. It was produced in 1989. I got hooked on that. I was like, I want to become like that. Started the training. I actually just fell in love with the training. I went full on hard
Were you
sparring.
nervous going into that first session as a 13-year-old kid? Because I've been to Muay Thai gyms before, and you know, the guys that go there often probably won't recognize it, but it's an intimidating thing. Like, you're seeing someone hit the pads and going like, ha, 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 ha. And there's like so much just like screaming and yelling and intensity, and it's kick after kick after kick with like maximum force and maximum torque. Like, this isn't, Muay Thai guys don't fuck around. Like, you're there to train, you're there to train. So as a 13-year-old kid who, you know, saw these superstars in the movies, you would have been like so excited to go, but I imagine there would have been nerves for you as well.
To tell you the truth, sometimes I get a bit delusional, and I had no nerves. I kind of just wanted to be like the guy in Kickboxer.
Right.
So to me, it was like, when I saw these guys, and I know what you're talking about, I want to be exactly like them. I knew I was never going to spar them, given my age, so I had nothing to worry about. And at 13, I was quite a big kid for 13 years old.
How big are we talking?
I weigh about 98 now. I was probably sitting at about 85 kilos at about 13.
Yeah.
I think 80, 85 kilos. So I was generally bigger than most 13-year-old kids my age. So I felt like I was
just too many tiny teddies.
Yeah. I felt like I just put them on them anyway, you know, if it ever came down to it. But no, I wasn't nervous. I was just highly, highly excited, like extremely excited just to become this absolute weapon. But in the end, it ended up being, I just loved the training. I didn't love the fighting at all.
I see.
Like, I never had an interest in the fighting, purely because I fell so much in love with the training. And then I started to become really health conscious. You know, growing up, you hear about relatives and stuff getting sick. You know, this person's getting sick. This person's got an issue. So ingrained in my mind at a young age was like, all right, I want to be kind of putting my health as number one.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? That's something I don't think many fighters are able to recognize. You know, I've spoken to a lot of them now, and it hurts me a little bit when I see, you know, people that I call friends, people that I call colleagues, people that I work with, and I can see the effects of CTE start to wane in on them. And, you know, it's not obvious at first, but when you have conversations with people long enough, you can start to see that things just aren't ticking the way that they used to. Things aren't as quick as the way they used to. That response time is just a little bit longer than usual. And that's the part that really scares me. Because look, broken shins, you know, torn joints, like all of that stuff's just inherently part of the sport, and you're going to walk away with something. No one walks away from MMA or any form of martial arts free. You know, you have to pay the bill at the end of the day. You want to go and throw elbows at people for a living? Okay, cool. But like, you know, your elbow's going to hurt after a while. Your shoulders aren't going to be able to move the same way they used to. That's expected. But I don't think people go into it as aware of the cognitive decline that you will experience as a fighter later on. And I don't think enough emphasis gets put on that. I think the UFC is trying to protect their fighters to a certain extent from, you know, the concerns of CTE, and there's a lot more research and a lot more funding going into it. But I think recognizing that and then actually taking action on it are two different things completely. And, you know, there's rules now, like if you get knocked out, there's a certain period of time that you can't fight until you can step back into the cage again. And I'm sure there's a lot of examinations and a lot of processes that go into it. But it doesn't reduce all the risk. there's still, it just takes one hit in a really bad spot, or, you know, something that was really well timed, or the way that you hit the canvas at a certain point, and you lose a part of someone in that.
Yeah, so 100% I agree with that. There are very real risks to fighting, like very real risks. You walk into that ring and, like, it sounds extreme, but you might not walk out.
No, it's true.
It's the reality of it. So the decision to become a fighter and to keep doing it, there must be, you know, something ingrained in you that you really want to take on that risk. And, you know, and that's why, for me, when I look at a lot of fighters, so I'll go just quickly into the social media part. When I look at a lot of fighters, you're taking all this risk on board, you know, your head trauma after that, chronic injuries and all that.
Weight cutting, the risks that come around weight cutting and organ failure. You're looking at blood clotting. You're looking at, there's so much risk. Yeah. And so then I think to myself, so with that, when you're taking out so much risk, I go to a lot of these fighters' profiles who are trying to make it in the industry, and I don't see much self-promotion there. So it just makes me sometimes think that if you want to become a fighter and you want to take that risk, do everything possible to make it, because it is a real risk and it can eventuate. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these fighters are taking so much risk, and the consequences are so high. There is no free pass into the fight game. But then on the other end of that, you've got the guys that all they do is self-promote. Yeah. And you've got the guys that bite off way more they can chew. And, you know, certain names come to mind. I think if you look at the big leagues, you've got right now probably Sugar Sean O'Malley, you've got Paddy Pimblett, you've got Dylan Dennis, you know, just names that strike my mind as guys that are all about the self-promotion, all about getting all the attention, but then when it comes to show what they've actually got to showcase, they tend to fall short a little bit. I think Paddy Pimblett's probably the best example of that right now. Very, very controversial win at his recent UFC. What were your thoughts on that? Did you watch that fight? No, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did hear the feedback on it, that the aura of Paddy Pimblett has washed away. Yeah. That at the start, it was a great hype, but when people watched that fight, they were like, a lot of them thought he shouldn't have won, and they think that, he was overhyped. Yeah, and on top of that, like he won a decision that honestly he shouldn't have won. I think I've watched the fight about 3 times now, and when you go on back and score it, you could make a case to say he won round 1, but round 2 and 3 he lost. Like in any definition, in any fight style, in any case, there's no way that Paddy Pimblett walks away from that fight from winning. But because he does have this hype train that's built around him, and he's become the UFC's new poster boy, especially for that European demographic, like Paddy Pimblett's everything. Everyone knows Paddy the Batty. But there's real questions about to whether he can actually deliver. And he's fighting a guy that's not even in the top 15 and can't put him away properly. And then goes to Dana White after the fight and says, "Oh, that was fight of the night. I've won it," you know. And he's drinking a can of Coke in the press conference, and you're like, "Hang on, wait, dude!" Like, I love it. It's great talking points for sure, and it makes great media. But in terms of what he actually showcased and what he was actually able to deliver on, there's not much to talk about. Yeah, so I'd say 2 things on that. If you can deliver on it and you can hype yourself up, essentially is what Conor McGregor did at one point. Exactly. You'd be potentially reaching heights like that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if he's in the fight game, you know, why not promote yourself as much as possible and use that platform, right, to take yourself up to the upper echelons of income in that, you know, in that discipline that you're in. The reality of it is a lot of people in the fight game, how long are they in there for? What, 10, 15 years? If you start at 20, you probably retire by maybe 35. Yeah, you've got 10 good years. You got 10 good years. So in my opinion, even if you don't have as much skill to back it up, you're still going to be in the fight. I'm pretty sure you will still be in the fight game regardless. Yeah. You should do everything in your possible to build up your credibility and your platform, and see it as this is my personal opinion, see it as a business where you can generate as much income as possible. So when you go out of it, there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you. Because I've talked to a few fighters, and when they've gone out of the fight game and they didn't do that, because this was the time before social media, some of them end up in depression. The lights have gone off.
No one remembers their name. You know, a lot of them get addicted to the walkout into the arena before the fight. You know, the music's pumping, the lights, everyone's cheering. That's gone. You know, and they want to be involved in the fight game so much, but the opportunities aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I would say that if you're wanting to be the fighter and take on such a tremendous risk, it is a tremendous risk to take on. You should be doing everything in your power to build a name and a legacy for yourself, because it will happen. Your time will come and it will be over. And then what do you do after that?
Yeah, but there also has to be like an element of grace with it. I agree with what you're saying, is that if you look at this as a career path and as a business opportunity and in setting yourself up for the next 30, 40, 50 years, and absolutely, you know, garner as much attention, sell as many tickets as possible. But what I think Paddy has gone and done is inhibited his ability to go and sell tickets in the future, because he's lost a lot of respect of the core MMA guys that are buying the pay-per-views week in, week out, week in, week out. And if they feel disrespected, if they feel like you aren't representing what I value as an MMA fan and someone that's putting my hard-earned dollars at the end of the week to go and watch you fight, then if you haven't earned my respect, then I'm not going to go and pay to watch you disrespect the sport I care so much about.
Yeah,
and that's what I feel like a lot of people felt walking out of that fight, is that Paddy, you know, at the end of the day, the decision's not in his control. The judges called it the way they saw it. But then to go and disrespect the sport and say, I had fight of the night, and to be, you know, acting the way he was afterwards, it was like, hang on, wait, dude, you literally lost that fight. Like, everyone saw it. It was recorded in 4K from multiple angles. There's no denying you lost that fight.
Yeah. So I would agree to that to some extent. What I would also just add on to that is, so I know what you're saying. I would say those people who felt they were disrespected, I feel like they'd probably watch his next fight purely just to see if he gets knocked out.
Right. You think it's like a Floyd Mayweather kind of situation?
Yeah, like a Jake Paul.
Oh, yes.
Like Jake Paul evokes so much emotion in someone, not in everyone, that they either love him or they hate him. People don't pay to watch him box. They pay to watch him either win or to get knocked out. And I feel like most people pay to watch him get knocked out.
Right.
He hasn't got knocked out yet. So you're right in one case. He has been able to back it up to this point, sort of, but he's fighting people that haven't fought in a while. They're coming out of injury. They're a lot older, but still, he's still dropping people. And a lot of the feedback I get when I post Jake Paul stuff to my stories, to my Instagram stories, is I get so much, I just want to see this guy get knocked out.
Yeah.
I just want to pay to see this guy gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, this guy, Jake Paul, has brilliantly done his job. If that's what people are saying about him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, you know, the Jake Paul formula, you kind of have to look at it a little bit separately to the Paddy Pimblett formula, because Jake Paul isn't, despite what he says, he isn't really challenging for a title. He's not really going for a belt. The business model of him is very clear. I'm going to call out Conor McGregor and tell him that I know that you've been on drugs, and Dana White, I've seen you at strip clubs with cocaine, and I'm fucking your wife, and I'm going to say the worst possible things about you to get a reaction out of you, and all of your fans who are going to go rush and defend you, and then I'm going to go send them all to this arena where they're going to watch me fight. You know, that's a very clear business model. Everyone knows what's going on. He's going to say provocative shit, and he's going to be as loud and obnoxious as entertaining as possible. But no one goes, oh, but Jake Paul is going to become the bantamweight champion of the world in his next fight. Everyone's like, no, he's going to go fight a YouTuber. He's going to go fight an MMA guy. He's going to go fight a former wrestler. He's going to go fight a person who hasn't won a fight in his last 5 fights.
Yeah, that's true. So I agree with that. So I guess with Paddy Pimblett's case, I would say that if he does his hype up again and he falls way short, he will start to slide down at that point. Yeah, because at that point, I agree. It would be like, well, this guy's now becoming a comedian. Yeah, essentially, he's not backing up his skills with he's not backing up his hype with really bad intentions, showing us like high level skills. Yeah,
absolutely. Who do you think has had the most amount of influence on the sport in general? Like, there's generational guys that have just stood out across time. Who do you think was the most impactful on the sport? Or maybe who was the most impactful for you?
The most impactful for me, so I've been watching, if we're talking about UFC here.
Well, just the fight game in general. Any style, any division, any weight class.
So the most impactful style, I would say, would definitely be BJJ. I think they've completely revolutionized, the sport. MMA completely got revolutionized because of BJJ. I would say the Gracie family has probably had the biggest impact on the fight game in general.
Yeah.
In terms of one specific fighter, I would personally have to say GSP, simply because his dedication to the sport. He looked the part, like very important. Like he looked the part. He had high level skills. He delivered knockouts, wins, everything. So I'd say mainly those two, and then trailing behind that, I would say is then another style probably be the Muay Thai style, purely for the leg kicks. Chopping down someone's leg while they're standing. But yeah. So mainly those people.
Yeah, GSP was something else. He was so important for the sport, and he was so important because he was a real spokesman. He was a real athlete. He wasn't just these wild characters that were coming out and screaming and yelling. Like GSP really embodied what a purist would admire about mixed martial arts. So much about discipline and so much about respect. I mean, how old is the guy now? He's in phenomenal shape. He's got a body that would put both of us to shame. He's the guy you would not want to see at the beach because you put your shirt on straight away. Like, it's just ridiculous. And I know he's into a lot of the longevity stuff as well, which I know you're into.
Yeah, so I know with GSP, he does the whole. I think he does medicinal mushrooms and
oh, does he?
I think it was either him or someone else, but he looks after his body a lot. I've heard him talk in interviews, and the way he looked at his body was he thinks of his body as a Formula One car.
Right.
So he's got to put exactly the right fuel and make sure it's tuned up perfectly for him to stay in the sport and for him to continue afterwards. But me personally, I'm very much into longevity. It's one of the reasons why I saw Muay Thai as purely something training for health. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, so I'm 38 now. So as you get older, if you want to keep up your Muay Thai training, you have to start adding like other modalities in there to keep it, to keep your longevity in the sport.
Yeah.
You can get away with just training.
So you're just juicing like a whole bunch of steroids. You just test to the hills, huh? On that Liver King diet.
Yeah. Actually, TRT might help. If you got low T, you probably need to get that checked out and get on TRT.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Get your blood work done.
Yeah.
And eat some camel dick or whatever he eats. What did you think of that?
The Liver King expose?
Yeah.
Look, it was no surprise to anyone that he was on gear.
It was a surprise to a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was under the impression that it was absolutely no surprise to anyone because I look at his comments on his page.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Just admit you're on gear.
Yeah.
Dude, you're on gear.
Yeah.
Just admit it. And that was the...
But there was the core base of people that genuinely believed that if you ate raw liver and camel dick, you would look like the Liver King and your beard would grow out this big.
Yeah, look, I assume they're the same people who go to a stripper club and think that strippers are in love with them as well.
Isn't that the truth, right?
But the whole thing was that I knew eventually it would come out to light. So me and my wife, we've talked about the whole Liver King debacle. Where I was on the side of, look, he lied about his gear use, but his other message was a good message.
Yeah.
Live in a good way.
The 9 ancestral tenets. Live by these.
Shield, bond, connect, It's a good...
Oh, you know them?
Yeah, I've looked at, because when he first came out, and he just shot right to the top.
Yeah.
He invested heavily in a social media team because he wanted to propel his brand, and he shot right to the top. I was like, I've never seen this before. It almost came across like as a character, like as like an awesome form of, like macho entertainment. So I had to watch it. You know what it reminded me of? Back in the 1990s when I used to watch wrestling and you had Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant. It felt exactly like that again.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminded me of. So I looked into what he was all about. 100% I knew he was on gear. The cap delts, like at that age when you're like, I'm 38, and right now I would say my physique is probably like average. And for me, that's...
You look good. You look good.
And for me, that's hard to keep already.
Yeah.
So I saw this guy, looks like he was in his mid-40s. There's no way that is completely natural.
Well, you could just tell by his abdominals, like they were just like pushed out like that, like they were just so far bloated. And the reason that happens is because the amount of tests that he was taking, and you know the cocktail of other supplements that he was on as well, causes like the gases in your stomach to expand. They have a term for it. I can't remember what it's called.
GH gut. GH gut?
Something like
that's
that.
When they take that's when they take HGH.
Yeah.
When they overdo it. HGH, I believe, makes everything grow, all your organs and stuff grow.
Yeah.
So that's why it just starts to.
Well, it's a buildup of gases, and I think it's called like plumbosis or something like that. I can't remember. Could you find out? Yeah, just search up plumbosis, see if anything like that comes up. But anyways, the point is that it was very obvious that he was taking something. Like there's just so many hallmark signs. The fact that he's approaching 40s, was in his 40s, mid-40s, and looks like that. Like it's not, unless you have a freak genetic composition and you come from a bloodline of Vikings and literally were part of the conquerors of the world, the Genghis Khans of the world, there's no way you would look like that just naturally. Whether you're 20, whether you're 40, whether you're 60, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, you'd probably have like maybe one person in the world, I would say.
Yeah.
Looking like that. Insane physique. He's worked really hard for it. Mm-hmm. On top of the gear doesn't do everything. It does help a lot when you're training really, really hard. But yeah, for me, one of the giveaways also was the red skin. I don't know if you've ever seen some of his videos.
Yeah, it looks like a fucking tomato.
Yeah, and I talked to someone who's in the know about all that stuff. He goes, yeah, the gear has elevated his blood pressure to the point where he just looks all red.
Yeah.
You know, so that was one of the full-on giveaways.
He was out of breath when he was talking. Hey, Primals.
Yeah. I think they call that trend breath. I don't think he's on trend, but I'm pretty sure they call that trend breath.
Yeah.
You struggle to breathe when you're on trend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's horrible for your organs. I mean, look, I've got no problem with people taking steroids. I've said it multiple times on this podcast. If you want to go take gear, go do it. You know, like I get it. I wouldn't do it myself. I'd probably wait until I was at a point where my testosterone levels were dropping. But right now, as a 23-year-old, it's like I'm on gear already. Like I've just got so much test going through my system that I don't need it. And what I think a lot of people don't recognize about extended test use, especially at a young age, is that it actually cuts off your testosterone supply. So it's not like you're getting an extra bump. It just means that your body naturally is going to shut down the parts of your body that produce testosterone because it's like we've got enough as it is. And then to switch that back on is a lot of time. And for some people, it doesn't happen. So it's almost like you're on this roller coaster and once you start, you can't get off. You have to be on test. And then you are going to have a lot of problems later down the track because your kidneys are going to struggle to keep up with processing all these exogenous hormones, and it's just you're setting yourself up for failure if you're starting from such a young age. I think as a form of replacement therapy, as a form of, you know, well, my levels are already dropped. I can't produce the amount of testosterone that I used to, and it's actually inhibiting my ability to recover. It's actually inhibiting my ability to grow. It's inhibiting my ability to think and perform tasks. Then you're like, okay, like there's a use purpose for it. But if you're 23 years old, where are you really going for?
Yeah, agreed. And there are younger people doing it now, you know, much, much younger doing it. And definitely at that age, I think unless you got like some serious issue, which you probably shouldn't have, but even then that should be your absolute last thing on your mind. But yeah, at that age, I think from about 16 onwards, your test is just going up. I think it's after 30, you get a very, very slow decline. Like, I mean, it's very slow.
Yeah.
You really start to feel like probably about 45 if it has been declining, you know. But that's why I say the best thing is you stay natty, you train hard. You know, there's a lot of bodybuilders now dropping off. These days you keep hearing it, you know, heart issues, kidney issues.
Absolutely.
You know,
and look, if you go into the bodybuilding world, that's what you sign up for. Like, bodybuilding is one of those weird sports that you can't compete unless you're on.
Yeah,
you know?
and the natty guys, from what I've heard, the natural division isn't that like it's not. Some people say they just don't like watching it. They want to see freaks on stage.
Well, that's what it is. It's a circus show. You know, like back in the day, we'd have circus tents with strongmen competitions where we'd see how big a guy could get, and he'd lift up like an elephant on one hand and a dumbbell on the other, and he'd be balancing on a ball. We've adopted that and athleticized that and turned that into a respectable competition where people train and diet and condition their bodies to look a certain way for about 2 minutes on stage, and then get off stage and try and walk because the bottoms of their feet are completely depleted of fat. It's, it's a very extreme competition, and it's just across the board recognize that if you want to participate in this competition, the price for admission is you're going to have to be on gear.
Yeah. So with any competition, Muay Thai, MMA, you kind of have to go extreme. So I agree with the bodybuilding. Like if you want to be something in there and you want to win at the pros, you're going to have to most likely be on gear. The only thing I know, I've heard a lot of fighters talk about gear use in the fight game. That's one of the places where, because now it's someone else's life on stake.
Yeah.
And you're on the gear, and there's been so much controversy, around the UFC, around it. And I don't know if you watched did you watch the ADCC trials?
I didn't watch the trials, no.
Yeah. Is it ADCC or ADCC?
Yeah, ADCC.
Man, like, half those dudes look like they were on gear. Some of those guys look absolutely massive. And I got to say, take the health side part away. Add a massive guy, someone who's massively on gear and is a black belt BJJ. The guy's going to be an absolute weapon.
But you want to watch, right?
Yeah, 100% I want to watch.
That's the thing. I would love if there was there's accusations about certain divisions, but I'd love if there was an organization where everything was just allowed. Like you can be juiced to the hills and compete. I think that would be really fun to watch. It just have to be established, kind of like in bodybuilding, that if you're going to compete in let's just call it the USADA Fighting League, right? If you're going to compete in the USADA Fighting League, you're going to have to be on a shit ton of testosterone and human growth. And if everyone in the division's up for it and everyone's down and they all sign off on it, I mean, there's people that fight bare knuckle on concrete. So if people want to go and be juiced to the hills and fight, then let them. I think it makes great programming. It makes great television. It'd be fun to watch. And I think much like bodybuilding, it becomes its own sport,
Yeah. That definitely would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you take of the McGregor situation? Have you been paying much attention to that?
Yeah, I understand that. So I've been paying attention to it. He snapped his shin and he's been taking a whole bunch of stuff. The general cryptic code, the underlying tone of his message that I got was that he's on stuff because not when you snap your shin, it never comes back together completely.
Yeah.
Some people it doesn't even come back together properly, and it can become a lifelong issue. And he was saying that in response to someone questioning that he was on gear. I don't know if you've seen that. If you've seen his response,
I know there was a deleted tweet. He did kind of allude to the fact that he was taken out of the... So for people who aren't aware, Conor McGregor, I want to say 2 years ago now, was fighting against Dustin Poirier in setting up for a title shot. And in that fight, he calf kicked Dustin. And in response to that, his shin actually snapped and he completely collapsed on the floor and the fight was over. And it was kind of very underwhelming because this fight was very much marketed as Conor's to win. He had to prove that he was still there and able to hang with the top dogs. And within the first round, his shin had snapped and that was kind of it. And we were just like, okay, well, that's the McGregor train over there. And then he's been, rambling on Twitter, drunkard of the proper 12 whiskeys, trying to take shots at everyone. But he essentially has been dormant from the fight scene for about 2 years. And then these photos start appearing on Twitter. And the guy is just jacked, ridiculously filled up. And we'd never seen McGregor like that before. Have you?
No, I've never seen him. See, the thing with McGregor, he cut so much weight.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone ever knows that if this guy just focused on strength training, no weight cutting, what would he reach? So I think that's why for some people we're like, no, the guy's natural. It's just that he's walking around probably at a much healthier weight. He's strength training, so he's going to look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw those photos and some of them, like his delts, his shoulders looked absolutely capped, nice and round.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure this guy's is dabbling now in gear. And when I saw that tweet, it makes sense because you can take certain, like I'm not an expert in this stuff or anything like that. You can take certain stuff that can heal your bone much, much quicker, make it form stronger again. So it's just like,
they have steroids for everything
Yeah.
now. They have steroids for everything. You want your beard to grow faster, take this. You want better eyesight, take this. You want, your fingers to grow longer, take this. Like, they have answers for everything now. So bone recovery and, being able to grow back the injured leg would have been no problem for him. And especially when you consider the money and the resources and the time he's had over the last 2 years to get this science down to an absolute T. And then the fact that USADA, the universal board, the international standards of fighting competition and making sure that people aren't doping, to making sure that people aren't taking drugs in the fight game, a very well respected and established organization, it comes out that USADA hasn't tested McGregor for 2 years while he's been recovering is ridiculous, because he should have been tested at least, I think it's 4 times a year, so he should have been tested 8 times. He wasn't tested once. He's the only athlete on the entire UFC roster to not get tested, and then comes out jacked as fuck. Like, hang on. There's a couple questions that we need to answer here.
Yeah. You know what? If he got away with that, congrats to him.
He did. That's the thing.
But in that tweet that he put out, one of the comment he made, which I understand now because I got a little daughter, was that he was saying that these things never recover, and like I can't even run around and play with my kid. So I can understand what pushed him towards it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you still decide to be in the fight game, you should abide by the rules. It's clear cut. You don't take it. If you want to jump out and you're done with it, then take all you want and recover.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
just don't come back in. When you're been training at a certain weight with a certain strength. But he'll probably get back. I think he will definitely get back in. I think they've got a fight lined up for him at some point next year.
Yeah.
I don't think, in terms of skill level, I think the sport has surpassed him now. I mean, when was he at his peak? 2015?
Yeah.
He was at his peak. The sport has just evolved even more since then. I mean, those calf kicks have become a real problem now. I'm seeing more shin snaps on calf kicks now, and I can see why. Doing Muay Thai, we're always taught, turn your shin in. It's the strongest part. It's like a ruler.
Right.
Yeah, if you have a ruler that way, I can just snap it. But you turn the ruler that way, so you're seeing that part, and you cannot snap that ruler.
Did you ever have to condition your shins for Muay Thai?
No. The best conditioning to do is hitting the pads, hitting the bag. You spar, and you weight train, because weight train thickens your bones.
Right.
That's the only thing you need to do. There are things going around where you roll. I heard it when I first started when I was 13. They used to tell you roll metal. They used to roll metal poles on your shins, deaden the nerves, so you can start hitting shin to shin. All that does is that it kills the pain signals. So you can hit, you won't feel it, but your shins haven't gotten stronger. You just don't feel it.
Right.
And then you start to get long-term issues with that, because your bone remodeling, I think, takes a couple of years. So if you're hitting shin to shin already, that bone's just going to get weaker. It's going to take way too long.
Especially if in your developmental years.
Yeah.
Especially if you're young.
Yeah. So I see a lot of that stuff over TikTok, people rolling stuff on their shins, and it's just like, yeah, don't do it. The best way, just like when you're training natty, is the slowest way when it comes to this stuff.
Right.
But I get it. Some people, they want to rush into the fight game. They want to get in straight away. They just want to start fighting. What's the quickest way to condition my shins? But yeah, I would always say, it's bag work, pad work, sparring, and then weight training.
Do you feel any pain in your shins anymore?
No, I don't feel anything in my shins.
So if I just kicked you in the shin right now.
You could try it if you wanted to. I'd probably feel that if it's a full soccer kick, because I'm looking at your legs, man, and they're quite thick.
Oh, thanks, man. I used to play soccer. But we're bitches in soccer. We have shin pads. So you really don't feel anything.
I don't feel it when I knock up against things, when I hit the pads or anything like that. I haven't been kicked in the shins in a very long time.
Yeah.
But when I was training hard, no, I didn't feel anything. I've taken my shins to a point where, with the conditioning on the bag, I overdid it and I couldn't walk for 2-3 days. It was one of those big, heavy Fairtex bags. They're I don't know if you've seen them. They're like that big. And I was in Thailand. I was just going hard out, just drilling that bag for half an hour. And then the next day I had a like slight dent in my shin. I could feel it.
You had a dent in your shin?
It's a very minor. Like I just felt it wasn't there one day. And that's where the pain was. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh shit, I probably overdid it. So I had to pull back on my training.
Is the dent still there?
There's a mark there. It's slight. It's very, very slight.
Can I
very,
see
very
it?
minor. You won't see. I got too much hair over it. Yeah. Just got to feel it somewhere like.
Damn, you dented your own shins. That's wild. What were you thinking as you were hitting the heavy bag? Who were you angry at?
Man, you know what it is? When you go to Thailand and train, something gets into you. That's why I do those rules about your first day training at a Muay Thai camp and 30 days after training at a Muay Thai camp in Thailand. When you're in Thailand and you're immersed in the Thai culture, you're training Muay Thai every day. You're training with other people sometimes 2 times a day. You're chilling with them, you're living with them, eating with them, and all that stuff. There's like this demon that comes over you and you want to make the most out of your time there. So you just go absolutely hard out, no excuses.
Do they like welcome you guys in with open arms? Because like I always found that very interesting, the fact that so many people go over there to, you know, places like Tiger Muay Thai and go and train with these guys. I'm like, what's kind of in it for them? Like, why are they so eager to train everyone? Like, do you feel like they welcome you in? Is there like a grading process? How do they know if you're legit or not?
So with Muay Thai camps, they do welcome you in because at the end of the day, you got to always look at things. At the end of the day, it is a business and you are income, and that income helps feed their families. They're trainers. They got Thai trainers. It will help. They'll send money back to their families, you know, in the farms to help feed them as well. Most of these Muay Thai camps, most of their markets are beginners, you know, so there's not like a vetting process or a grading. It's just like, I want to go do Muay Thai. What's a good camp to find? And they're very welcoming. They want to teach you, you know, they want you to learn. You can hang out with them and all that stuff. So yeah, it's like, I guess they call it like the land of, I think they call Thailand the land of smiles, the land of happy smiles, except there's a joke on that where people change it to the land of happy endings.
Which is also very true.
But yeah, they are very, very welcoming. And if you respect like their culture, like you don't be a smart ass when you go there. If you're sparring with another Thai who's well known, you know, or he's got a good, you know, he's got a high like amount of fights or something like that, like you show your respect in his fight in the sparring.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, they're very welcoming.
Do any of them like fuck you up?
They don't mess you up in sparring. No, they don't. I haven't experienced that. I haven't seen them do it to someone else. But sparring with them can be a bit intimidating. There's that originally you've established in your head sparring a Thai guy. Yeah. And he's probably had like 50 fights, 60 fights already. And the way they throw
he's 12 years old.
And the way they throw their switch kicks, it's lightning fast and it comes right for your head and you don't see it coming. And they do mess you up with the sweeps. So that's where I used to get messed up a lot when I was clinching and sparring and all that stuff. It's just a constant sweep and hitting your body onto the floor. And then you get it done like 5-6 times and you start to feel it onto your body. That's where they like to mess you up a lot, is when they get you into the clinch.
How often were you training, like while you're doing one of these camps?
Yeah, so I've done it 2 times. The first time I went, I could only do it once a day, about 5 times a week. It's just too much on my body.
And how long were these camps?
The first one was 2 weeks.
Okay.
And the other one was a month.
Whoa,
yeah.
a month?
Yeah, and it really takes it out of you. So a lot of people, when they come to me, they go, what is your best advice for training in Thailand, a Muay Thai camp? And I always say to them, they'll take care of everything. You just got to manage your recovery properly.
Right.
So, you know, make sure you get a good enough sleep, make sure you eat properly, take your supplements. I've known some people when they go there, they said there were some people there, they'd go out and party at night and they just
we're in Thailand.
Yeah.
I mean,
they just collapsed during their training.
Of course. But that's the thing, right? Are you treating this as a holiday or are you treating this as a camp? Because Thailand has some of the best nightlife, some of the best parties, some of the best tattoo parlors, some of the best, you know, bars and restaurants and culture in the world, and they love embracing Westerners coming in. And you know, it's very well known that you go to Thailand, you can live like a king on a pretty cheap budget. Like, it's not expensive to go and live over there. So I think, for a lot of people, it's probably tempting to go and experience that side of it and the camps as well. But it's like you have to kind of decide which one you're going with. You're going to go there and train hard and do 30 days of very intense training. So on that 30-day run, were you doing once a day as well?
Initially when I started, because I was fresh, I'd been doing 2 times a day.
Whoa,
one in the morning, and then
2 times a day?
Yeah, but literally like after 5 days, I'm done. I took 2 days off.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I was just doing it once a day because I was like, I can't manage.
And are you
2 times
living
a day.
there at the gym, or are you staying at your own accommodation? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on the camp. I was living at an accommodation, like 5-minute walk.
Right.
Some camps, Tiger Muay Thai, they have their own facilities, but if they're booked out, then you find a hotel around there.
Right.
Most camps, you got to find a hotel around there. They don't have accommodation facilities. Some of them do.
And who'd you go with?
Oh, no, I went by myself.
You went by yourself?
Yeah, I wanted to do it. No, it's hard to organize these things with other people.
Yeah.
So I was just like...
But that would have been so much fun.
With another person?
No, by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you're free. You're not dependent on anyone. You don't have to cater to anything. You want to go and do something, you go and do it. You want to train, you go train. Like there's no one to answer to in that sense.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. So all I wanted to do was I want to train, I want to recover, and I want to train. That's all I wanted to do.
How long did you have to go through that circuit before you were like, oh, okay, like I'm accustomed to this kind of routine now?
It took me about 2 weeks to get into it.
Right.
It's weird. Like you stay there for a month, it takes you 2 weeks to get used to the training, and then you only got 2 weeks left.
Yeah. But
it took me 2 weeks for my body to adapt to that style of training. It was a major shock to my system. I was sore every day. Like I'd walk around, my legs are sore, particularly my shoulders from the punching. My shoulders are really, really sore. But then after 2 weeks, with good enough sleep and stuff, the soreness just starts to decrease. But you got to be careful in training in Thailand, because that soreness sometimes is an indicator, like your body's quite sore. You need to pull back. Otherwise you could injure yourself, and then your camp is done.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be conservative, I guess, as well. Think about the full 30-day stretch. It makes you wonder though, like what it must be like for those kids that go over, like that are born there and live there, and that is their entire life, and they have, from the age of 6, they're in these camps and they're training super hard every day, and it's like you don't have any other option. If you want to make money in Thailand and you want to be an athlete, you have to do Muay Thai, and this is how you're going to make money, and this is how you're going to bring food to the table. And there is almost a sense of desperation behind the sport, as well as the fact that this is the mecca of Thai fighting, and this is the mecca of combat sports, and we are going to have all the facilities and all the trainers and all the culture and all the fame and all the accolades and all the systems to produce the best Muay Thai fighters in the world.
Yeah, so with the kids, I think they start them off at 5 or 6, and for them, it's just another way for them to send money back home.
Yeah.
So, with them, I understand it, where they do project. Thailand does produce some of the best Muay Thai fighters in the world, purely because everyone starts at a young age, and we've got so many people. When you've got a big pool of people doing it, you're going to have a handful that are just going to be absolutely phenomenal at it, absolutely phenomenal. But some of these guys, by the time they're 20, I think I was reading into this one guy. There was a documentary on him on YouTube. At 20, you already had 150 fights. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
100. Fuck, that's so many fights.
Yeah, and I looked into the whole Muay Thai and CTE. I don't hear much about it, to be honest. I wonder whether they keep the CTE studies to boxing, because I would have thought that someone who's had 150 fights at Muay Thai, and it is common.
Yeah.
A lot of Thai fighters have most of them will have at least 50, right? And a lot of the older ones have 100, 150, and then I was trying to look where are the stats on CTEs on Muay Thai fighters at 150 fights, 100 fights.
Well, you'd think they'd have the most, right? Because Muay Thai is purely, head kicks and striking, and obviously there's leg kicks and stuff as well. But you'd think the force that's being generated, particularly with these Muay Thai kicks, is that these guys will be getting knocked unconscious left and right. Yeah.
See, the thing is with initially that you can make that argument as well. That is an argument. Another thing when I looked into the whole CTE thing is that they found a lot of it can actually be caused by hard sparring leading up to your fights and the hard sparring you accumulate over the years. And I was listening to this Muay Thai legend, I can't remember his name. He was talking about the way they sparred.
Yeah.
And they were saying how these days, like when they see people sparring, they wear the shin guards, they wear the head guard. And then he was saying the problem with that is that when they have that, they start to go too hard because they think, all right, the other person's protected. It's all good. Whereas when they sparred, there was no shin guards. So it was shin to shin contact.
Yeah.
There was no head guards. I don't think they used mouth guards. So everything was almost of a playful nature.
Right.
The spar will work technique, but I'm not trying to knock you out because you got no mouth guard. I'm not going to hit your shins. It'll be a light kick to the shin where you just put your leg up. You feel it a little bit. It's almost nothing. And that's what kept their longevity.
Yeah, sure, that's definitely a perspective, but at the same time, it just takes one heated moment. And I'm sure you've experienced it in sparring.
Yeah,
I've experienced it myself where, someone just... I remember this one time, I won't say who it is, but this one guy just landed like this nice, clean right hand straight down the middle onto the chin. And before that, everything was pretty playful. It was very touchy. We were mindful of our distance and our power and our range. And, we weren't like laughing or anything like that, but we weren't taking it seriously. And then in a split second, he just turned it up on me, landed a right hand straight down the middle of my jaw. And I just felt my head go back a little bit. And then after that, it just turned into an absolute brawl. And, it was error on my end and probably error on his as well, in that we let our emotions get the best of us. But it was just like, well, you've landed that on me. I have to return to you now. And then he's throwing harder at me. And then before you know it, technique's going out the window. We've got these windmill punches and body shots coming from these weird angles. And I'm going for a takedown and he's trying to get a guillotine on me. And it's just ugly and raw. And before you know it, I'm walking out with blood all over my shirt. He's got a black eye. And it was a real lesson for me that you have to moderate your emotions and you have to be so in control of the situation and how you're responding to things as much as possible, because if you don't, then you get lost in the sauce. So, to train without headgear, to train without mouth guards, to train without shin guards, it's like, yeah, on paper it sounds great, but it just takes one spontaneous moment to make that really ugly.
Yeah, so that is true. So I guess with these Thai guys, when they did that, they probably had been training with each other for so long that they had trust. It's like when you roll with I don't do BJJ. It's like when you roll with someone in BJJ. If you really roll with them a lot of times, they kind of, I imagine they know where your boundaries are, where your limits are, when you should tap when you're rolling. But I had a similar experience in Thailand.
Yeah.
But I didn't escalate it because I was done.
What happened?
And one of the things is that I always tell people, if you're ever in a real fight, don't ever leave your mouth open. If you're tired, don't breathe out of your mouth. Always breathe in and out through your nose. So I was tired because I'd just been doing Muay Thai training, and this guy came in. He's like, "Oh, can I spar you?" The logic in me said, "Don't spar. You're absolutely tired. Don't do it." But the ego in me said, "You offered me out to a spar right after I'd finished my training. All right, let's do it."
Had you seen this guy before? Did you know what his style was like?
No, I'd never seen him.
Right.
No.
So just some random guy was like, "Hey, let's spar."
Yeah, just some random guy. And then
you're fucking psychotic, man. I can't believe you took that. That's hilarious.
And we're sparring and I'm tired and I go to breathe to open my mouth and he comes in with a hook and my jaw goes that way and my eardrum just pops. Lucky my jaw didn't dislocate, but my eardrum popped. And when you get that sound like a mosquito in your ear? It was like that for about 3 weeks.
No.
Yeah. I couldn't hear much out of this ear. I think there's a connection between your eardrum to your jaw. I'm not sure the mechanics of it. But I learned a big lesson that day. Take your emotion out of sparring. Completely out of it. It's there purely for you to learn technique, apply skill. That's it. And if you're very, very tired, if you ever go to a Muay Thai camp and you're really tired and someone wants to spar you don't know them, you don't spar them.
Did you continue on with the fight after that?
No. I said I didn't. My ego wouldn't let me tell him what was wrong, so I said, "All right, man, I'm pretty tired. It's I think he knew. And then the guy told me later he had 7 fights. He had 7 Muay Thai fights,
right,
or something like that. you know, and he was fresh and all that. But I had a bit of ego, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty tired. I'll just hold Paddy.
You had him before that moment. Don't worry about it. So how was the idea of building content around your passion for Muay Thai founded? Because, you know, for a lot of people, you've kind of become the voice of Muay Thai memes. You've kind of been able to translate, you've been able to bridge a gap between people who know nothing about Muay Thai and people that live it and breathe it every single day. And you've kind of been able to bring those two communities together, because it is in many ways very niche, and it is in very ways very selective. And whilst it is a massive sport, it's not often celebrated here in Australia. You know, it's got its pockets of popularity, but I don't think it's as widely adopted as what the boxing scene is, or what the mixed martial arts scene is. So, you know, firstly, commend you for that work, but also I'm curious to know, how did that start? How did that journey start for you?
Yeah, so the way it started was that the way Teep Muay Thai started was, if you look at my page, it's got about 1,100 posts. The first 1,000 of them actually aren't any of me. It's martial arts movies. So essentially what it was is I wanted to bring to light a lot of the martial arts movies that brought people of my age and generation into Muay Thai. And I wanted to show a side of Muay Thai that I believed hadn't been shown before as well, because where I used to train at Full Force Gym Blacktown, a lot of the fighters there, absolute weapons in fighting, in training. Take them outside of Muay Thai, they're lighthearted guys, awesome guys, lighthearted guys. I was like, no one has actually seen this part. Well, no one on social media has really seen this part. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to the people who were curious about Muay Thai, but would watch Muay Thai content and see people getting KO'd by head kicks, getting like 12-6 elbow down their nose and all that stuff. And it was to break that wall of intimidation purely for someone to be curious about it. So around April, I saw a person doing a piece of content where it was like, how boxers make tea the first thing in the morning. So the first original content of myself I did was a boxing one. I looked at it, I was like, I'm kind of sick of posting martial arts movies, as fun as they are.
Yeah. Prior to that, did you see like much growth on the page? Like, were you getting any momentum by posting the movies and stuff? Or
I got it to about 8,000.
Okay.
You know, it was decent.
That's decent.
It was okay, but I don't know why. 80% of them were from Iran.
I see.
I think they love the Van Damme movies. Yeah. But it was only when I started posting the original stuff that it really, really took off. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'll give this a shot. You know, let's show this, because it's what I want to show is that a lot of us, we train Muay Thai and we love it, but it's only ever confined to a Muay Thai gym.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's a lot of Muay Thai people out there, you know, people who train hard or who just started training, that they want more of it. You know, they want to do it when they're not in a Muay Thai gym, that they think about it when they're not in a Muay Thai gym. I used to think about it all the time. I used to watch highlights at work, all this stuff. So I was like, all right, I'll give that a shot. And I didn't expect the level of feedback that came back was that people liked it, you know, they enjoyed it and all that stuff. And that's how it originally started.
Yeah, there's something really powerful about, as stupid as it sounds, there's something really powerful about memes in the sense that they just communicate a message that everyone can understand in a very compact kind of way. Like, I used to be a very diehard football fan, like watch every game, wake up at 2 a.m. and digest all that content all the time. I'd be up to date on player stats and who's winning the league and who's on what points. And unfortunately, one of the realities of growing up is that you just have less and less time being able to commit to that. So I've just found football to be too long of a game. It was just too much time that I had to commit. The hours were just uncomfortable because you're watching the EPL. You have to wake up at 2 a.m. and you're tired as it is. And it just didn't fit my schedule. I still loved the sport. It just didn't fit my schedule. And the answer to that I found was, as stupid as it sounds, I just watch a lot of football memes and a lot of football content on my phone. And that way, even though I wasn't up to date on everything, I felt like I still got the spirit of where the game was at, or where the league was at, or where this particular player was at. Like, I haven't watched Manchester United play in a very long time, but even I know that Harry Maguire is absolute shithouse and should not be anywhere near the World Cup. And so, you know, it's just a fun way of staying tapped into the culture, and seeing you do it for Muay Thai, I was like, this is smart. Like, I see what you're doing here. You're just reducing everything that's going on in the Muay Thai world and the attitudes and the beliefs, and you're just putting it in the most digestible way possible, where someone like Sian, for example, who doesn't even know much about Muay Thai, can still look at the meme and go, oh yeah, I get it, you know.
Yeah, so that is the basic premise for a lot of the content, is that we take a highly, highly relatable situation, highly relatable, going to work, waiting in line at the groceries. I still haven't done something about that yet, but I'll be doing content on that one soon. Highly relatable situation. We add a Muay Thai twist, and we produce an over-the-top outcome.
Yeah.
That kind of speaks to the person, the person inside you, where, you know, sometimes you're stuck in traffic and you're like, there's someone like agitating you, maybe with loud music, and you're like, what I would give just to go and knock that person out. So I create a meme going and knocking that person out.
And it's the fucking, bro, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So how much time are you committing to making this content?
Yeah, so we've committed 2 things. We've committed to 1 reel a day, which is very tough.
It is. That's tough.
Yeah, that's tough. And so the way it works is that we batch film Monday and Friday, 3 hours. So that's 6 hours there. In the morning, I dedicate an hour and a half every day to answering comments and messages. Just because I like building the community.
Yeah.
You know, I like talking Muay Thai. I like building the community. And, and then I probably spend about, on average, 4 hours a day editing.
4 hours a day editing.
3-4 hours a day.
So you're looking at 5 hours a day on an average day just committed to the page. Yeah. How do you sustain a life outside of that? Because you are also a husband, you are a father, you do like to train. Like, how do you balance all these different balls?
Yeah, so luckily for me, my wife's on board with it, so she helps out. If she wasn't there filming, so she's the videographer. If she wasn't there filming, like it just couldn't get done.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be able to do it. So she batch films. She does the batch filming, so we can cut down a lot of wasted time. And then I literally have to schedule everything around those 5 hours. So my training either has to happen. I set a block of time for my training. I set a block of time, to spend time with my kid. And then, I set a block of time for my content creation and answering, talking to people and building connections.
Yeah. How do you, because there is so many different ways in which a content creator does have the ability to monetize. Have you considered that as an opportunity for the page yourself, or is that something that you are interested in doing it? And if so, how are you going to do so?
Yeah, so I have considered it. So my goal is to monetize it and it becomes my full-time job.
Yeah.
Right now, like the first stage is really building a connected community. So that's why I invest heavily in like building connections with people, talking to people. One of the things I never liked about a lot of social media pages was that you message or you write a comment, no one answers back.
Yeah.
Like no one talks to you. So right now it's building the audience, getting them, providing them entertainment value. And the way you would monetize is that once you build that, there are some projects we got going. I've put up my merch. Now that's just something small right now, but I'm planning to build it up quite a lot more. And
you have merch?
Yeah.
What's on your merch? What do you sell?
My random Muay Thai syndrome tees.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, it was my wife's idea. I didn't think of that one, to be honest.
Yeah, random Muay Thai syndrome. That is like such a staple to your page.
Yeah. And then like some head kick tees, like it's got a picture of Goro and he's ripped off the heads of Goku and Sagat.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's got head kicks fatality.
So you do like shirts and jumpers?
Well, just shirts for now.
Shirts.
Yeah. It's literally just for, shirts for now, because right now the goal is just to build this page up as much as possible.
But from the outside looking in, a lot of people will probably go, oh, look, there's 80,000 people that follow this page. Like, that's more than enough people to build a sustainable business. Like, a lot of businesses that generate hundreds, if not millions of dollars don't have 80,000 accounts following them.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen some that are like 9,000 and they're pulling in like 100 grand a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I want to do is I just don't want to put out crap.
Right.
You know, I take like a lot of pride in what I put out, the content. So whatever we put out has to be of good service to the Muay Thai community. And that's the thing I'm trying to hone in on right now. So I haven't honed in on it yet. Right now, we're just providing things that, like with the merch that you wear it, I'm wearing Teep Muay Thai merch, you know, but the next step is, you know, one of the things is that we want to build a platform for, because I get a lot of questions from beginners saying, oh, I want to do Muay Thai. I don't know what to do. I don't have access to a gym and all that stuff. So one of the things is also building a platform where I tee up with a lot of high-level Muay Thai guys, you know, and we try to look at building some type of course. You know, online. Like it's not as good as the gym. It will never be as good as the gym. But if you've got no access to the gym and you want to learn from like world champions, it's the next best
like
thing.
tutorials.
Yeah, like tutorials.
Right.
You know, breaking down striking.
You know,
techniques.
that's a really good idea, actually, especially if you can tie in like a bit of the comedy aspect that you already bring to the table. Like if you kind of approach it, I'm not a comedian by any measure, but if you approach it as if you're like the amateur, if you're the beginner that's got no idea what they're doing, but they've got heaps of ego about it, or you play into like certain characters that people can almost relate to in a way, and the instructionals are done with that kind of spin, I think a lot of people would find that entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, agreed. And there's the YouTube part. I'm focusing on building up the YouTube. That's another stream of income.
Cool.
And then we have some projects. We have one project on the way that I don't want to mention anything about that now, but it's a project that I feel like fits in really, really well with the branding. Because I got to look at what Teep Muay Thai is, you know, and it's like it's a combination of Muay Thai, but it also brings Muay Thai into real life, like real life situations and scenarios. So we got one project we're kind of working on. We've literally just started it, and I hope to bring that to fruition maybe within like a year. Yeah.
So you've really got like long-term goals with this. Like this isn't just a social media hobby for you. Like this is something that you want to turn into a legitimate, viable, long-term business.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm taking a long-term view of it. I just started the original content maybe 9 months ago, 8 months ago. So to me, it's like, you know, I'm taking like more of a 4 to 5 year view on it.
What's the creative process on coming up with these ideas?
Yeah, so the creative process is that we think of a very relatable idea, relatable to everyone, you know. That's why you tend to see a lot of work situations.
Yeah. The Christmas party one killed me.
You know, you tend to see a lot of work situations, therapy, anything, you know, that's highly, highly relatable to everyone.
Yeah.
We add the Muay Thai spice into it, and then we solve it with an outcome just seems so ridiculous. So I try to do those three things. And then the other way is that I go out sometimes to the community and I say, if you got any ideas, send them to me.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool.
I'd love to make them.
Yeah.
And so that gives me another stream of ideas like to work on. Some of them are difficult to execute because it's just me playing all the characters.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd love to do that. Just don't know if I can pull it off.
Yeah.
You know, but some of them I have like the Random Muay Thai Syndrome charity content that came from someone who gave me that idea. He's like, you should do like, you know, one of those charity commercials where, you know, something's wrong with the person, and then have your Random Muay Thai Syndrome tee up as a donation at the end. Yeah. So that's what we did. Yeah.
Who's the most surprising person that you found out is either like engaged with or liked or is aware of your content?
The most surprising person is, have you heard of that MMA fighter, Czech Congo?
Czech Congo, no.
All right, he's a big MMA fighter. I think he's fighting Bellator.
Right.
And it was just weird. I used to watch him fight.
Yeah.
And then he was sending me messages saying, I love your content.
Oh, no way.
And then that UFC guy, Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz.
Yeah. Same thing. Sent me a message. I love your content, man. You know, I'm like, oh, thanks heaps, man. But there is
You
another.
should hit him up. Like, do you want to be in a video?
Maybe I can knock you out. I don't know. It's up to you. He's like, no, I'll knock you out. I'm like, all right, man. All right, you can drop me. Another one that I've been surprised on. So it's not a specific person, but it's a type of person, is that I get a lot of messages from people who are going through like depression or having a bad anxiety, and they said that my content helps lift them up, and they're having a bad day and they watch the content and it really lifts up their mood, and they're like, thank you heaps, man.
Yeah.
That I completely did not expect.
Yeah. Oh, you're a scroll stopper. Like, I see your content pop up on my feed. I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be fun. You know, and I look forward to it. Like, I really look forward to the content. I remember, I think while I was in an airport in Qatar, because I just got back from the World Cup, and I was in the airport, and I was just waiting in line. I was dealing with Philippine Airlines, and, you know, while that Asia region is great at producing fighters and athletes, they cannot run an airport to save their life. Absolutely dreadful experience. So many times we were just delayed, pushed back, waiting in line, told to go here, needed to go there. And there's just a lot of dead time in the air. So naturally, you know, I'm just like trying to get onto the free Wi-Fi on my phone, you know. I'm just like, fuck, like, all right, I got free Wi-Fi. Like, awesome. So let's check out Instagram for a second. And one of your videos popped up. And I was aware of you for a very long time. We've had conversations on Instagram back and forth, but I wasn't as aware of the content that you were producing because your page just wasn't popping up on my feed or whatever. I don't know, it just wasn't popping up. And so I saw one of your videos. I couldn't stop laughing. I'm in the middle of a line in the Philippines, waiting to get on to a plane, fighting against all this humidity, and I just burst out laughing, and I scroll to the next one, and then before you know it, I'm 20 videos deep. I'm binge watching your content, and I'm like, this is great. Like, this is so cool to watch. And, you know, it really left an impression on me. Like, I was like, okay, wow, this guy's like really producing content that's high value, it's high quality, and is just bringing a lot of people together. And like all the videos it shows, you know, the comments like that. I think that's a good measuring stick for your style of content is the amount of comments, the amount of conversations that are going on around it. And it's all of them, just bangers, bangers, bangers. You don't miss.
Yeah, I get that comment a lot. The guy doesn't miss. Can I ask which video were you laughing at?
I think it was the one where you were on a date.
Ah, yeah, that was my wife's idea.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
That was her idea.
Props to you for that idea. That was brilliant. Yeah, because dating is...
Thank you for inviting me in, Bella. This was such a wonderful day.
You're welcome.
Hey, babe. Thanks for asking me to come in for a tea. Appreciate it, Sarah.
It's Bella.
You got such a beautiful name. I'll never forget it. I got you mixed up with Sarah from last night. Your name's kind of rhyme. This is such a beautiful fiddle leaf fig plant. You know... See that speed? So luscious green. Got the reflexes of a mongoose. I feel like I've known you my whole life.
Do you?
So fast. What are your plans for next weekend? Didn't even see that one.
I'm not really sure.
We should totally do another date, babe. What are you doing next weekend?
Can I let you know?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking
Yeah, I'm catching a flight to Thailand. I'm gonna be in Soy 6 Pattaya. Yeah, sure. Let me know. I'll hit you up when I get back. Wait for me. Every girl does. I'll call you tomorrow. I got the best Teep in town.
How about I text you back?
Yeah, that can work. So, Bella, what do we do now?
Well...
Look, babe, I don't really have time for this speech. I've got another date to go to and I've got to watch some Rod Tang highlights. See you around.
Such just a relatable thing. Everyone knows what it feels like to go on a first date and be dealt with nerves, and everyone's had a bad first date. Everyone's had, you know, that douchebag that thinks they're top shit and then, you know, can't even remember your name. Like, oh my God, when you called her Sarah twice. It was brilliant. It was such a good idea. And then from there I was just like, yep, great. I have to get this guy on the show.
Yeah. So everything that I put out, one of the things I make sure is that can I rewatch it a number of times? You know, it's not about me, but if I feel like I kind of have the same mentality as a lot of the other guys that do Muay Thai. So if I enjoy rewatching it a few times, you know, I feel like it's good to go out. There's only been a few where I looked at them, I'm like, nah, not putting that out. It's not good enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I think you have to hold yourself to that standard as well. Do you feel like there's pressure on yourself to post every single day? Like, where is the next post? When's it coming out? Like, do you feel like almost a bit of tension in that sense?
There, yes and no. There is pressure because I did commit to 1 reel a day. I don't have to commit to 1 reel a day.
Yeah.
At the same time, the pressure is quite good because that commitment and that pressure to put it together means that we're constantly innovating our ideas and coming up with new ones. I don't think I'd ever come up with the amount of ideas I did if I was very relaxed about it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it, you know, when I'm I'll do it when I'm energetic or I'm feeling good. It's like, no, we're putting it out.
Yeah.
It's getting out. It's high quality. We're investing time in the editing of it. And that's what's allowed us to come up with so many different ideas. But one of the things that I did to give me a full stream of constant ideas was that, you know, make the content about very relatable situations. So it's never ending.
Yeah.
You know, but yes, sometimes I can't get around to them. There's only been a couple of weeks I've missed in the last 9 months where I didn't post like 7 times in the week.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's about it. I imagine over time I won't be able to sustain it, you know, but for now it's working
Awesome.
for us.
No, you're killing it. You're killing it. I love it. If people want to check out your page, if they want to support you, if they want to see the brilliant content, which they absolutely should, how would they do so?
Yeah, so it's Teep Muay Thai on Instagram and TikTok.
That's TEEP Muay Thai.
Yeah, and then there's Teep Muay Thai on YouTube. And with the YouTube one, soon I'll be adding different things where now I go to the different Muay Thai gyms and I showcase their training, their up-and-coming fighters, training with them. So that's the plan. So if you want to see that content, that'll be on YouTube in the new year.
That's awesome. Awesome. Love to hear it. Well, listen, Chris, I really appreciate you coming out, man. It's been fun. It's been a blast. And I wish you all of the best of luck. I'm sure you're going to kill it.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Remember to smash the subscribe button. We are still on our mission to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I see you guys slacking. We've got a couple of days left, so let's do it. Let's get that final stretch in. Subscribe, and we will see you next time.